Welcome back to the One Day, One Delt Day of Giving 21. It's official. We've passed $30,000 raised. So thank you all so very much for your contributions thus far. But we still got a long way to go and a lot of fun things for the rest of the day. So we turn our attention now. Our first guest of the day is Alex Kennedy. Alex is our Director of Undergraduate Education. Got it right. Alex, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
I'm good, Vince. You know, there's snow here in Indianapolis,
There
which I'm praying is the last snow of the year.
Me too. Although I travel back to Pittsburgh and the weather sort of follows along over to there. So I'll probably get it again when I get home. So that being said, Alex oversees the educational programming that goes to our undergraduate members and chapters. And there's certainly been a lot of innovation and development. And so very happy that we could talk about some of that today. And let's start off by, talking about leadership training. How are we, even in the midst of the global health crisis, and as we start to venture hopefully out of it, how are we getting the right tools into the hands of our undergraduates to be successful in an ever-changing world?
Yeah, so I would say that there's kind of two big components that are important here. Our leaders need to have confidence in their ability, but they also need to have competence. So they have to have the skills necessary. And so the fraternity is uniquely positioned to be able to focus on both of those things. So we like to develop the skills of our members as well as their confidence. And we're on our way in a lot of that. And what's really exciting is our team is continuously refreshing the way that we're doing evaluation and assessment with Ken Tubbs, our director of assessment. For example, this past year when we moved Ignite online, we found that our members who participated in Digital Ignite were 2 times more likely to consider themselves a leader after participating, which is results right then and there. They have that confidence in their capacity. And so there's that confidence piece. And then, of course, all of our curriculum and everything is rooted in theory or research, so that way we can develop those skills as well. And so it's a really exciting time to focus on both of those things for our members, because we know that it's not just the skills they need. They need to feel confident in their capacity and their ability to do things. And so it's a really great opportunity for our team to be able to have some small part in that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome to hear, and a lot of good work happening. Now you're bringing in a reinforcement, so to speak, this summer. You have a programming intern coming in. What is that role going to look like? What is the purpose of that role?
Yeah, well, so Jacob Ellis, our coordinator of undergraduate education, and myself, as well as Ken and Andy on our whole team, all have our master's degrees in student affairs. And for many of the graduate students who are going through programs, there's not many opportunities to focus on the education and training. It's mostly you're on campus, you're focusing, in the student leadership office and Greek life office, et cetera. And Jacob and I in particular had mentioned, man, it's sort of been a really great experience for us as graduate students, but also the fraternity could really benefit from somebody's experience. And so this summer we've got a graduate intern joining us who's focusing on our education and programming. And so the day in the life of the intern looks a little different. And so we're kind of approaching them as a generalist, not a specialist on a topic. So they'll help us in all varieties of the programming and education that we create, including officer education. Maybe they might review Digital Ignite and give some curriculum update changes, create a marketing and communication plan for a program that we might be hosting in the fall, whatever it might be. Our hope is to get them in and get them some experience in the work that we do. Because specifically, we want that intern to feel prepared to be able to go out and do this work professionally. And we know that all of the things that we want to work on as a team, we need people to help us do those. And so that graduate intern is really going to help us achieve some of our goals this summer. So we're pretty excited.
Yeah. And you're still wrapping up the interview process for that, right?
Yep. It's not official yet, but our announcement should be coming soon. And I'm really excited to announce who that our candidate is.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Certainly, a lot of folks have seen that equity, inclusion, and diversity training has been pushed to the forefront of a lot of organizations, and that's no different with Delta Tau Delta. There's been internal and external focus on the organization with specifically the Beyond EID program. Tell folks that might not have much context a little bit about that and sort of how it's progressed thus far.
Yeah, so earlier this semester in March, we had a session with Christina Parle from Social Responsibility Speaks. And she hosted that session for our general membership, as well as also hosted a staff training focusing on the areas of equity, inclusion, and diversity. And what was really exciting was the session that she hosted in March actually had higher rates of registration to attendance than most webinars do. So we beat that rate. So it's
awesome.
Proofs that our members care about this topic. And so what we've then decided to do is then after that session, we've created what we're calling Beyond EID 101, which is continuing education on topics that are a little bit foundational. And so, for example, our most recent message that will be going out soon is all about identity. And so it might be, even if someone didn't participate in the EID 101 session, the content we're covering isn't a next level up. And so like, if you didn't get the chance to participate, please feel free to contact us and we'll make sure we'll get you added so you can see and learn some of that content. Thankfully, the foundation funded our EID 101 session. And I think that what we're looking for in the future is there's lots of different groups of fraternity stakeholders working on this work in particular. And the metaphor I've been using is that we're all different wheels of a car. We all just need to start turning at the same rate, otherwise we'll spin. And so there's been some really good conversations with fraternity leadership, both from the volunteer side and the staff side, to determine what's the next step for Delta Tau Delta. And that's really exciting. And I'm really excited at the opportunity to be able to provide education. We see our role in the education programming team two ways. One, we need to make sure that we're educating on equity, inclusion, and diversity topics, obviously. But secondly, we also want to make sure anything that we currently have or plan in the future is looked at through an equity and inclusion lens. So making sure that we're creating opportunities for all of our members, that we're not exclusionary in any way, and really using that as a framework more so than we might have previously done. And so it's really exciting stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I echo that excitement and how the fraternity is looking to be inclusive and in a more inclusive environment in the United States as we look at changing demographics and numbers. So excellent stuff there. And finally, Alex, before we let you go, what's on the horizon? What else can members, alumni, interested stakeholders of Delta Tau Delta, what's on the horizon of programming and member development?
You know, not to sound cliche, but a lot. Some old favorites, and so we're really excited for the potential to maybe get back to an in-person Ignite. Jacob and I are very eager at the potential of that. We know that we had success in the digital Ignite capacity, but there's just something about being at a camp together, doing all of the different things together that really fosters that relationship and brotherhood, and really that affinity to the organization as an avenue in which those men have grown. But some new favorites as well. So we're really excited. We're continuously working on developing some additional learning management courses on our learning management system, Aspire, including officer education, which might feel obvious, but for our members who aren't officers, what I'm really excited about is we're starting to focus some more on member development education. And so right now, if you said, I want to learn this skill, you might have to only learn it through an officer course that's available. So we're looking to create more programming and education that's for our general membership, not just for our officers. And I think overall, the big thing that I would like to mention is thank you to the foundation and to our donors who, because of your donations, we're able to do some of these old favorites and soon to be new ones as well. And I just really appreciate my opportunity to be here and talking with everyone and celebrating my first day of giving on staff. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Alex. You've been a big help behind the scene, making some phone calls, some stewardship efforts. But again, thank you as well to everyone that has helped Alex, the programming staff, and everyone here on the Central Office and Foundation to be able to think innovatively and to push the envelope in pushing Delta Tau Delta into the future. So we will have some more guests later on. In the next hour, we'll have Ken Tubbs on, our Director of Assessment. As Alex had talked about, he has really helped us reframe the way that we look at a lot of projects and long-term direction when it comes to leadership within the fraternity. So until then, make sure to make your gift. As I peer over my shoulder, we're at 79 total gifts thus far. Let's try to get to 100 here before lunchtime. And if you have any questions, comment them below. But this has been Alex Kennedy. I'm Vince Russo. We'll be back here in just a little bit on the One Day, One Delt Day of Giving 21.